What really happened tonight? And why did Jungkook break down in tears while apologizing in front of millions? Before you continue reading, make sure to like, comment your thoughts and subscribe because the truth Taehyung has been hiding will leave every ARMY speechless and trembling. What really happened tonight? And why did Jungkook suddenly appear in front of cameras with tears streaming down his face, apologizing over and over as if he had been carrying a weight far heavier than anyone imagined? ARMY around the world are asking the same question while struggling to understand what could have driven the golden magne, usually bright, strong, and composed, to break down so publicly. Was this truly an apology, or was it a confession of something far deeper? And why, at the exact moment Jungkook bowed his head and whispered that trembling, "I'm sorry," did Taehyung turn his face away, wiping tears of his own? What does Taehyung know that the rest of the world doesn't? What truth has he been protecting, guarding, and hiding even from those closest to him? It began only 10 minutes before the emotional livestream that shook the fandom. A rumor spread like wildfire across social media, claiming that Jungkook had been spotted alone, wandering through a quiet street late at night, his face hidden beneath a hoodie, his shoulders tense as if burdened by something unspoken. Fans who recognized him said his eyes looked swollen, as though he had been crying long before anyone saw him. No one knew where he was going. No one knew why he looked so lost. And no one knew that Taehyung had been frantically searching for him at the same time, calling him again and again, each call going unanswered. Why was Taehyung desperately chasing after him? Why was Jungkook running away? And what moment between them had caused everything to swell into the breaking point we witnessed tonight? When Jungkook finally appeared live, the room behind him dimly lit, his hands trembling as he tried to steady the camera, ARMY instantly felt something was wrong. His breath was uneven, shaky. His voice cracked even before he managed to speak. He opened his mouth once, then closed it, as if the words were too heavy to release. And then he whispered the one phrase no one expected to hear. "I'm sorry." Sorry for what? Sorry to who? Sorry for something he did, something he couldn't stop, something he couldn't control, or something he could no longer hide. Every viewer held their breath as Jungkook fought through his tears, wiping them with the sleeves of his hoodie. His cheeks were wet, his eyelashes glistening. He wasn't performing. He wasn't acting. This was raw, real, and painfully honest. He said he had been holding something inside for too long, something that had been eating away at him, something that he thought he could manage alone. But he couldn't anymore. He said he didn't want fans to worry. Yet at that moment he looked more fragile than he ever had. The shockwave spread instantly. Millions of comments filled the screen. ARMY begging him to calm down, to breathe, to take his time. Many begged him not to blame himself. Others begged him to tell them what was wrong. But Jungkook only lowered his head again and whispered the words that made the entire fandom erupt in confusion and heartbreak. "I hurt someone I care about. I didn't mean to. And I'm so sorry." Hurt someone? Who? Why? What did he mean? Before fans could make sense of his confession, a soft sound echoed from behind the camera, a quiet knock on the door. Jungkook froze. His breathing hitched. He wiped his eyes quickly as the door opened just a crack. And then the voice everyone recognized spoke in a soft, shaky whisper. "Jungkook, please stop. Come here." It was Taehyung. The live stream abruptly ended the moment Jungkook turned toward the voice. But that single moment was enough to send the entire fandom spiraling into a storm of theories, emotions, and unanswered questions. Why was Taehyung there? Why did Jungkook look like he had been running away from him? And why did Taehyung's voice sound as though he had been crying too? Minutes later, sources close to the situation, unofficial but emotionally charged, claimed that Taehyung had known Jungkook was struggling long before tonight. He reportedly tried to support him silently, keeping everything hidden to protect Jungkook's privacy. But something happened earlier today, something intense enough that Jungkook ran off by himself, leaving Taehyung terrified that he would face everything alone. And for Taehyung, loneliness has always been something he never wanted Jungkook to feel, even for a moment. Rumors claim Taehyung searched for hours, that he drove across the city, that he called managers, staff, and mutual friends, that he went to places only Jungkook would visit when he needed to think. And when Taehyung found him, alone in the dim light of a quiet place, Jungkook was already crying, already apologizing, already breaking. What did Taehyung say to him? Did he comfort him? Did he scold him? Did he simply hold him until Jungkook could stand again? None of it is confirmed. But what fans do know is that Taehyung brought Jungkook back, and that the moment they returned, Jungkook decided to open the camera and apologize. But apologize for what? Some believe it was for worrying the fandom, others believe it was for hiding his struggles, and some believe it was for something deeper, a moment of conflict between him and Taehyung, something personal and emotional that shook both of them to their core. Taehyung, according to whispers online, had been carrying the truth for days. A truth he didn't want the public to know. A truth he thought he could handle alone while helping Jungkook through it in private. But Jungkook couldn't bear watching Taehyung carry the burden any longer. And so he broke. And so he apologized. And so the world saw the side of him he never wanted to show. Army cried with him. They cried because he looked exhausted. They cried because he was hurting. They cried because even though he apologized, he didn't owe anyone anything. They cried because Taehyung's voice in the background sounded filled with fear. Not for himself, but for Jungkook. Tonight's moment wasn't about scandal. It wasn't about drama. It was about humanity, vulnerability, brotherhood, and the pressure of being someone the world watches too closely. But the biggest question remains. What exactly is the truth Taehyung has been hiding? And why did he look so heartbroken when Jungkook apologized publicly instead of letting him protect him silently? That answer has yet to be revealed. But Army knows one thing for certain: whatever happened, Taehyung was not angry. He was worried. Deeply. Desperately. And the way he called Jungkook's name, the way his voice trembled, proved something stronger than any rumor. He did not want Jungkook to face the darkness alone, and Jungkook, even in tears, seemed to understand that. As the night unfolds, as fans wait for another update, as the emotions continue to rise, one question echoes louder than anything. Will Taehyung speak next? Or will he continue carrying the truth he refuses to let hurt Jungkook further? Only time will reveal the rest of the story. But tonight, Army stands united, crying, waiting, supporting, and holding Jungkook and Taehyung close in the only way they can. The world held its breath as the live stream ended, leaving the screen black, but the echoes of Jungkook's trembling apology still lingering like a haunting whisper inside the hearts of millions. Yet the silence after the broadcast felt louder than the sobs that had poured out of him. Army waited, refreshing their feeds over and over, searching for answers, updates, anything that could soothe the ache growing inside them. But everything remained still. Too still. What were Jungkook and Taehyung doing now? Why wasn't anyone saying anything? And what exactly was the truth that Taehyung had been trying so desperately to protect? Somewhere behind the scenes, away from the flickering lights of cameras and the chaotic noise of the internet, Jungkook was sitting on the floor, his back against the wall, his head buried in his hands. His breaths were still uneven, raw, almost painful. The weight he had been carrying didn't disappear with the apology. If anything, it pressed even heavier on him now. Beside him, Taehyung crouched down slowly, placing a trembling hand on Jungkook's shoulder. The room was quiet, but the silence between them was thick with everything they hadn't said. "Why did you do that?" Taehyung whispered, his voice cracking softly. "Why did you apologize to them when you're the one hurting the most?" Jungkook shook his head, unable to speak. Tears slipped down his cheeks again, silently. He wasn't crying for the world. He wasn't crying because he had been exposed. He was crying because he had failed to hide his pain from the one person he wanted to protect from it. Taehyung.